The following production is brought to you by the Talkin' Buds Leaf Show.
Here we go. Talkin' Buds Leaf Show, episode 263. Been looking forward to this one. You know, this season has been, it's been chill. It's been a pretty chill season. Well, we've been riding the wave. The team's been riding the wave. The rest of the fans have been riding the wave. And that's awesome from a fan standpoint. But the problem with that, when you're content creators, as you and I are, it doesn't make for the most interesting listen. And you and I have found ourselves this year more than any other year looking at each other going, what is there to talk about that's interesting? And the last 10 days, the season has gotten a lot more interesting as the Leafs have hit their first, what I would say, real rut of the year, and then subsequently have worked their way out of it. I just want to do something that I don't normally do, where we usually do Sunday morning episodes. So I just want to do a quick weekly recap of what has happened since the last time we got together to do an episode. And so the last time we were together was the Saturday night 3-0 loss to the Vancouver Canucks. They come back on Tuesday. Everyone's talking about, you know, they need to get right. They need to be better defensively. They need to just play better than they had in Carolina and Vancouver. They go out and they lay an absolute fucking egg against the Dallas Stars. They start strong. They end up just absolutely fading in that game, losing 4-1, getting booed off the ice. After they get booed off the ice, William Nylander comes out with the quote of the season saying, "What's the big deal?" And everyone, I think us included, is just so irritated at that comment and the nonchalant attitude of William Nylander. And we're going to talk about that in a few minutes, but I just want to get through my recap here. Mitch Marner also, after the game, when asked about the boos, you just try and drown it out. We know how good we are. And you're going, oh my God. Like, again with these, how many times have I ranted on this podcast about dumbass comments made after a game by players on this team? Then we get to Thursday against Sheldon Keefe's New Jersey Devils. They have stretches in that game where they don't look great, but spend all night coming from behind. Matthews and Nylander bring them back. They win in overtime. Saturday night, they fall behind 3-0 to the Montreal Canadiens. You and I are texting back and forth. Everybody online is like, nice of them to show up for a big Saturday night game against the Habs. These fucking guys. Then they rattle off 7 unanswered and actually end up dummying the Montreal Canadiens to end that game. And Ryan, all this is to say, this is just this team. This is just who these guys are. And I don't think it's wrong of fans or anyone who supports it to get caught up in the emotional roller coaster of it.
Yeah, I mean, this week has been kind of a good, you've seen this side of it and you've seen the other side of it. I think it's been a good week to kind of see where the fan base can shift from one side to the other side. And for the people who were sitting watching their TV while they were down 3-0, absolutely spazzing on Saturday night, there's a reason for that. It's because of the past 7 years of torture that we have been through with this team, and seeing them go into Montreal on a Saturday night where they kind of need a statement game against a hot team and they come out flat and they don't look very good and they don't get the job done. But it's been a roller coaster of a week. I don't even know like where you want to start. Like, do you want to start with let's start with the comments first, maybe?
Yeah. So people were pretty pissed off about the comments after the game. And well, I mean, it's the usual, right? It's like, it's you're on one side or the other. You're relax. Like, you're on Willie's side. Relax. It's no big deal. We're first place in the division. And all that is true. Like, if you think logically, it's like, he's right. they're right. They're first place in the division. They've had a couple bad games. What's the big deal? But then for me, it's like when you compound it with the Marner comments again about just try to drown it out. I think the thing that bothers me is it's seemingly when you make comments like that, you're not acknowledging where the fans are with you. And I think a lot of the reason why, I think when Brendan Shanahan took over the Toronto Maple Leafs, he really wanted to instill in these young players, you're not responsible for 1967. It's not your fault that this hockey team has not won a Stanley Cup in a lot of people's lifetime. You don't have to wear that. And I feel like they took that to heart, and I feel like it's created this sort of adversarial dynamic between the fans and the players. But I'm here to say that's bullshit. It's not about 1967. It's about, as you said, the last 8 years of watching these guys do what they do. And I think that, and while this season has been really chill and very good, this has been a very good season, man. Like, they're sitting atop of the Atlantic. Like, there's, like, what more can you say? A lot of us are waiting for that other shoe to drop. When are they going to go on a 5-game loser? When are they going to show that this is not who they actually are? And I think a lot of people are like, you could win the division, you could win the conference, President's Trophy, whatever. Everyone is going into April with their guard up. And I think when comments like that are made, it pokes at that wound.
Yeah, and you hit the nail right on the head. It's exactly what I was going to say. You're not responsible for 1967. You're responsible for the amount of times you've come up small in big games over the past 8 seasons. That's what you're responsible for. And I think the comments were triggering in a way because I think the perfect word to sum up this core group is immature. Like, there's just been an air of immaturity around these guys since they've entered the league. And you're kind of waiting for them to take that next step as like you're in your late 20s, you're approaching your 30s. It's time to kind of mature and grow up a little bit. And you're right, Willie's not wrong. And I think he was actually right. It's like, it's a 3-game loser. Like, what's the big deal? But at the same time, I think you need to have a little bit more awareness of just making your life easier. You can make your life so much easier by just coming out and saying, you know what? We haven't been great the past 3 games. We have to be better, and we're gonna right the ship here. Like, this is what we're gonna do.
Exactly what Chris Tanev said.
Exactly, and that was funny. Those 2 quotes were just like I was reading the article, and Tanev was saying one thing, Willie was saying the other thing, and it's just and yeah, I get it. You're right, but at the same time, it's like, how hard is it to just look at a guy in the face who covers the team and goes, "No, we just need to be better. Sorry, man," and then just go about with your day, and then talk to your buddies, being like, "These guys need to chill, calm down." And then Mitch Marner, again, with the booze, again, just, we just aren't playing our best right now. We're going to come back. We're going to get after it, and we're going to right the ship here. I just don't understand what's so difficult about doing that. And it's ultimately going to make your life a lot easier if you do that as well. So I think just the immaturity that's kind of surrounded this team in terms of like how they go out every single year. They don't show up in big games. The comments they make after the game. It's almost like a lack of accountability, and that's what this year is all about with the new coach.
Yes. So, it has existed. Accountability has been lacking in the entire Brendan Shanahan era. And that's what I mean. I think that they brought these young guys in and they tried to protect them from the history of just this tortured fan base, which I get it. It's fair. But it has resulted in this lack of accountability, and these guys just not, even if you don't mean it, just say it and everyone will get off your ass. Like, this is the part that always breaks down for me. It's like, just say it. But they don't. Mitch Marner does not want to say it. Mitch Marner comes off very much like, you guys are attacking me right now and I'm going to defend myself. And it's like, bro, like, just relax. And it just comes off, like I said, very adversarial.
Yeah, it's extremely unnecessary, and I wish I could like media coach these guys. It's so easy. I just think it's, maybe I'm not in it day to day or whatever, but I don't know. When I think about it on the outside, you are one of the best, most skilled players in the league. Mitch Marner's having a career year. Like, just swallow it, make your life easier. Just swallow it and just give the same old, hockey answer. Just, we need to be better. Well, we're going to be better. We're going to go to practice. We're going to work on this. And we're going to come back and we're going to run the next 3 and win the next 3 in a row. Like, what's so hard about doing that? Why do you have to be a little snarky attitude boy? Like, it's just, I don't get it. It makes your life harder.
Victim mentality. Yeah, it's this victim mentality, and it's what they do in the playoffs. And it's just, I don't know. They're not changing. I think that's the point of this conversation is this is who these guys are. And it's easier to not get upset by when they do things like they did on Thursday against New Jersey and then Saturday against the Habs. Like, it's kind of put your money where your mouth is, and you got to give these guys credit. They did that in the last 2 games. And my point is it's not wrong to get caught up in it. Like, it's if you read those quotes after a game and you're like, for fuck's sakes, like, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. You spend your hard-earned money to go to these games, you can boo. You take time out of your life to sit and watch them and support them every night, you can be upset. It's totally fair. It's totally fine. And to me, it's what makes it fun about being a Leaf fan. Just, it's not boring being a fan of this hockey team.
It's true. It's true.
Let's talk about Saturday night. So they go down 3-0. And then they rattle off 7 unanswered. Mm-hmm. The Montreal Canadiens come into that game red hot, and they start the game red hot. First and foremost, you and I both texted each other before puck drop. Leafs Habs on Saturday night hits so much better at the Bell Center than it does at Scotiabank Arena.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not even close.
So, in your opinion, what happened?
Like in the game?
Yeah. Like, did they just wake up? What happened?
Well, I thought it was a perfect. I loved that game. That was probably my favorite game of the year, because it had everything in it. They really all their problems like solved themselves as the game went on. So the first period starts. They are awful. They are terrible. None of the star players come out and are hot right off the bat. None of the depth players are contributing. They just look overrun. Joe Wall lets in 3, but he's just like having to make save after save after save after save to keep them in that game. And my phone's blowing up with depth scoring issues, with star players not showing up, not scoring big goals. And then the second period starts, and then what happens? Bobby McMahon, the most important depth guy of all, scores a goal. Nick Robertson, another guy, very important depth guy, scores a goal. So the depth scoring chips in. Nylander scores, and Nylander comes out and he's flying. And then the goaltending was just Joe Wall was. I thought maybe I'm overreacting, but I thought that was arguably the best performance of his career last night.
No, he was spectacular.
I was spectacular. By the end of the game, I was like, I can't believe the performance this guy just turned in after letting in 3. Like I thought he was unbelievable. So I thought. And it's so nice seeing the Habs. I don't care if they're last or first or wherever the hell they are in the league. Watching them implode and Jack Eye pointing up to the scoreboard and not fighting, and then you just lay a beating on them for the rest of the night. It was wonderful. It was the best game of the year for me. It was incredible.
For me, it's to kind of harken back to this is who they are conversation. This team goes as the star players go. And yes, Bobby McMahon and Nick Robertson got them on the scoreboard. But when the puck dropped in the second period, you can tell 88 had his legs again.
Yeah.
And these guys drive the bus. When they come out to start the first period and they look completely flat and uninterested, it permeates through the rest of the team. I've never been more bought into your leaders set the tone than I am this year. And what happens in the second period? The first shift, I'm like, whoa, there's the Willie Nylander that we've been looking for, and the floodgates open.
Yeah.
And it's just these guys dictate how this team is going to play. And you're right, Bobby McMahon, just because I was sitting there getting kind of frustrated because, the previous game against the Devils, it's Matthews and Nylander. And then Craig Simpson was saying some stat that like, in the last 7 or 8 goals they'd scored, it had only been Matthews and Nylander. And so you're kind of like, where's where's the depth scoring here? And then Bobby McMahon pots one. Nick Robertson pots one. David Kampf ends up getting one. It's an empty netter, but he ends up getting on the score sheet.
Yeah, OEL got one.
OEL, it's like if these guys are cooking and playing, they don't even necessarily need to be producing. It is going to permeate through their teammates. To me,
absolutely.
It's just so that's their identity. That's this team's identity. And there's been lots of ranting and raving about, the core four, and Brad Treliving got here and he's like, we need to get away from the core four. It's the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's like, no, dude, it's the core four.
You'll never escape it.
Exactly.
You'll never escape it.
They drive the bus. This team goes how they go. And when you look at the playoffs in previous years, everyone always says, they can't score. They can't score. It's like, yeah, because the big boys aren't rolling. I'm sorry, man. If the big boys are rolling in a playoff game, Bobby McMahon will end up getting on the score sheet somewhere. Nick Robertson, etc.
Yeah. I mean, this has been a tough year for me in terms of the depth scoring conversation and the star players. And because I maybe I'm alone in this or I'm in the minority, but I'm sorry. I do not give these guys excuses for wanting, obviously you need guys to chip in, but I'm sorry. You go around the league, you look at the Edmonton Oilers. I think they're the greatest comparable to the Toronto Maple Leafs in the league. Someone, they go get John Klingberg. Someone put out a tweet and they said all the players that moved from Toronto to Edmonton. And it was a list of over 10 names of dudes who've gone from Toronto to Edmonton. So I think comparable, they're as close as it gets, and they are red hot. They didn't start the season good. And I go look at their statistics and the guys who score goals for them. And I'm sorry, it's the exact same deal. I'm done. These guys need to show up every single night, and they are paid to score every single night. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm not giving them excuses. I know you need one extra guy to chip in, but that team has 2 superstars. This team technically has 4. So I know one's injured right now, but I'm as much as it's important for McMahon to chip in and for Robertson to chip in, when it's a big game on Saturday night, I am expecting their top players to score goals and produce points. I am not making excuses for them. I am not. That's what they are paid to do. I'm sick of getting text messages about depth scoring on a Saturday night in a game they need to win. I'm sorry.
You know what I'm sick of, Ryan, on the topic of excuses that I see everywhere online? The Berube system. The Craig Berube system has stifled this team's offense. Oh my God. You think Connor McDavid gets hampered by a system? You could put any coach behind the bench of the Edmonton Oilers and Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl are going to score goals. You know why? Because they're superstars. They don't go out there. A system is there to make sure you've got a plan for when you forecheck, and you've got a plan for how you're going to defend. It's not supposed to hamper Austin Matthews from ripping home 40. Yeah. And same thing with Mitch Marner and William Nylanders. So I am so... Oh my God, I hate that. It's just the biggest excuse in the world is the Berube system is hampering these guys. It's like, oh my God, enough.
And I just won't complain about depth scoring anymore. And if all of you needed more help scoring goals, how about you all take $3 million less than you did in your contract? This is why I refuse to make an excuse for 88, 34, 16, 91. I'm not giving them excuses. You wanted to be the big dogs. I'm not sitting here complaining about depth scoring. You need to go out every single night and score those goals for this team, because that's what you're paid to do, and that's what your mission is. When you signed your contract, you're going to be a top player in this league, and you're going to produce every single night. So I'm so sick of hearing about it. I really am. It's this is what you're paid to do. Do it. I'm not making excuses for them.
Playoffs. We're talking about playoffs. You bet we are. Get in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL.
Scoring touchdowns is the key to winning in the playoffs, and you can score big by betting on them at DraftKings, the #1 place to bet touchdowns.
Ready to place your first bet? Try betting on something simple like a player to score 6. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app and make your pick.
New DraftKings customers can bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly.
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ice.
We should talk a little bit about the John Tavares injury. That did not look good at all. It's the Leafs, so you don't have any real update about what's going on. It looked like he ripped all kinds of things in his groin and his leg and it did not look good. Do you think this should expedite the search? We don't deal in hypotheticals here, but so I'm not going to ask you to give me a name, even though if you go on Twitter, you'll see that Yanni Gourde is the greatest two-way centerman to ever lace him up in the NHL, and the Leafs should go get him. The Leafs should trade everyone in their system to go get him. But two things. Do you think this should expedite Treliving going and trying to find a new, an additional centerman for this team? Easy for me to say. And would you be open to moving off one of their younger pieces to getting? So if you had to, I'm not going to say, you and I don't do this. We're not going to throw out imaginary names. I'm just saying you've got the opportunity to bring in a depth centerman that's really going to help you down the middle because Max Domi, who we're going to talk about in a minute, is just terrible right now. Would you be willing to move off an Easton Cowan to bring in that centerman?
Only if you have him for the next 2 to 3 years.
Agreed. 1,000% agreed.
Yeah, that is
if you for a rental.
If you can guarantee a second, like obviously Tavares, he's playing second line center when he's healthy or third line, but if you can guarantee a centerman who is like a second line centerman caliber, but will play on your third line for the next 2 to 3 years, yes, I would consider it. But for a guy who's just going to play the rest of this year and then be on his way, no, I don't. I don't think you should do it. I don't think it should expedite it. I think we've seen it year after year after year after year where they go out, they get a name, it looks good, we get excited, and ultimately it doesn't work out and it doesn't push them to the next level. So I think if you're looking for a rental, no, I wouldn't move any high picks for it either. I would go in the dressing room, look at everyone in the eye and go, this is up to you. You're going to have to figure this out. Yeah. That's what I would do.
I'm in agreement with you on that. I'm not interested in bringing in a rental. Okay. I'm going to mention some names here and we're just going to talk about them up and down the roster. The first guy I want to bring up is Jake McCabe. He comes back from injury and I'm going to come clean and say, I think I underestimated how important Jake McCabe
100%
is to this team's D-core. They are a far better defensive hockey team when he is in the lineup. The pairing of him and Chris Tanev is their best defense pairing they've had in this whole... Have they had a better defense pairing in this whole era than Chris Tanev and Jake McCabe in terms of what they can do out there? I don't think so. And I did. I'll come clean and admit it. I underestimated just how important this guy is to their D-core.
Yeah, I want to apologize to Jake McCabe right here on this podcast. Before they were talking about anything with extensions and money, I was on here being like, I don't know if Jake McCabe's a $4 or $5 million defenseman. I wouldn't do it. And I've been proven wrong. He's been unbelievable. You look at him and Tanev together, they're the only guys on the OEL too, but they're the only guys on the team who are in serious plus territory 5-on-5. And I'm pretty sure he led them in ice time last night. He had 26 minutes last night, led the team in ice time. And yeah, and that's a perfect example of what we were just talking about with a trade. There's a guy you went out, you traded for, you had him for more than a year, and look what he's molded into. He's become arguably your most important player in terms of having your D-core solidified. Like that's how well he is playing right now. I think he is. I don't think you could criticize him in any sort of way. He's playing way above expectation. He's in plus territory. He's leading the team in ice time. What negative do you have about Jake McCabe right now? I can't think of any.
Okay, Ryan. What the hell is going on with Max Domi? We talked about how everyone stepped their game up in Montreal. I don't think Max Domi was a part of that.
He got benched. He basically got benched in the third period.
You go back and listen to the tape from last year. I was the president of the Max Domi fan club. I was so happy when they brought him back. I thought I love what he brings. This dude is in a dark place right now. He is in a dark place. He's Alex Kerfoot. Like that's what he's become. He makes the only impact he makes when he's on the ice is turning the puck over. That's all.
Yeah.
The guy is a turnover machine. And I don't know. He's miscast. The one thing I will come to his defense on is he's miscast down the middle of the ice. And the best he's looked in a Leaf jersey is when he was on Austin Matthews' wing, and Craig Berube has been told by the Matthews and Marner camps, I'm sorry, I'm fucking so totally bought into that conspiracy, that we don't get separated. And Craig Berube's like, yes, I would like to keep my job, so I'll keep you guys together forever. I don't know what you do with the guy. Like, it's part of the argument to go out and try and find another center, because then you can cast Max Domi properly. But oh my God, it's like he's thinking the position when he's out there, and you can just see he's not out there playing. He's thinking, and he's trying to just be aware of all his two-way responsibilities as a centerman, and he's terrible right now, man. He's a liability.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a first-time listener to this podcast, I'll give you a little summary of what me and you tend to do. Whenever someone new comes to town, we get a little too excited about what they bring, and they're like the greatest player of all time for like 2 months. And we absolutely we loved Reeves, we loved Domi, I think the only guy I didn't do that for was Bertuzzi, because I thought he was terrible. But we tend to get a little excited about guys. But Max Domi, you sent me a text a couple weeks ago, and I thought it was interesting. And you said there's a reason why this guy has played for so many different franchises.
Yes,
and I also will cut him a break because we've said it day one. He's not a centerman. He is not. He needs to be going up and down a wing, using his speed to get in and kind of getting into the game with his bite, and just he needs less responsibility on the ice and be more focused on forechecking, going up and down your wing. Like he's just not a centerman, and he's exposed right now, and his confidence is gone. It's gone. It's gone. And I guess this is an argument to expedite the process to go get a centerman, because we've been saying it since day one. He's not a centerman. And he's really struggling right now. He really is. He turned the puck over last night like 4 times in really bad spots that led to glorious scoring chances. Yeah. So yeah, and then he got benched basically for Pontus Holmberg. Like, I mean, Holmberg didn't really play. He didn't really have a crazy amount of ice time, but he was playing up with Willie at one point of the game. And Domi, I didn't really see him on the ice anymore.
Between Max turning the puck over and Pontus Holmberg getting the puck in his own zone and looking like Wayne Gretzky flying through the entire Canadiens team, Craig Berube was just like...
Craig Berube likes Pontus Holmberg.
Yes, he does.
He likes Pontus Holmberg. Pontus Holmberg has 2 goals. 2 goals this year. But for some reason... his 2 goals. And Craig Berube just really likes Pontus Holmberg. He really likes what he brings, because he's always kind of just in the lineup every single night. It seems like he's on the ice all the time. So Max Domi is just not a centerman, and they need to find out what they need to do to get him back on track.
I'm sorry, Ryan, but we're going to go here again. There is something very wrong with Morgan Rielly. Like very, very wrong with Morgan Rielly. I don't know. I'm at the point now where I'm like, this guy has to be playing injured. Like he is the definition of a non-factor. Like he got the OT goal against Philly a couple weeks ago, but you said You were talking about Lane Hudson to me in our text thread last night. And it's hard to not notice Lane Hudson because the broadcast just does not shut up about Lane Hudson.
Yeah.
And you're like, it would be great if the Leafs had a young, like, Lane Hudson type. And I'm like, well, Morgan Rielly's supposed to be like a veteran Lane Hudson. Like, he's supposed to be your offensive defenseman.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're even close to being the same player. Like Morgan, when I think of Morgan Rielly, the word stick handler doesn't come to mind.
No, right. But my point
I know
is,
what you mean, in terms of producing offense.
Most dangerous offensive threat when it comes to the blue line. And I'm at the point where there's got to be a lingering injury. Like, there has to be. Like, he's lost in his own end. The guy's at a minus every night.
Yeah, that's the most concerning thing is you look up and down their lineup, and he's the only guy who's got like a large dash beside his name.
Yes.
And you look at the ice time last night, he played 10 minutes less than Jake McCabe last night. I know some of that is penalty kill related, but when you're highest paid defenseman, the guy who's supposed to be your number one guy, is playing 10 less minutes than Jake McCabe. They've clearly lost a little bit of trust in him as well.
Yeah, and how can you not, man? Like, how can you not when you watch him play? He's not good. I come back to what are you doing? What do you do here? Like, what's he doing? He just kind of goes out there and skates around. He gets beat in his own zone. He's a non-factor in the offensive zone. We're back to doing this thing where, well, they need to go, like, again, heading into the trade deadline. We're talking about Luke Shen, and we need to find a partner for Morgan Rielly. It's like, what? Yeah. How many? Every year we need to find a partner for Morgan. That's what Chris Tanev was supposed to be.
Yeah. I think
it just hasn't worked out.
You almost get to the point where it's like you need to think about replacing him. Like, it's I mean, I look at Lane Hudson. I watch him play, and he's kind of like Cale Makar without the power and the speed. But like, he just has that shift. He's like a new age hockey player where he's on his edges. He's like putting pucks into open spaces and making these great plays. And that's a guy I would love to see quarterback their power play. That would be, I think that would fix all their power play issues if that was the guy quarterbacking it. But
it's another thing too. The Leafs were literally one of the teams, no offense to the guy, the Leafs were literally one of the teams kicking tires on John Klingberg again. Yeah. Because they do not have someone to quarterback the power play. And that's supposed to be Morgan Rielly. And it is just, that's over. Like, it's just, we can't keep going back to that. We're going with the 5 forwards, and Mitch Marner's going to quarterback the power play because Morgan Rielly just can't do it.
And I think this is an underrated concern for this team. And I've brought it up over the past couple episodes. I do think they're a defenseman short of being a really elite team. I like Chris Tanev. I love Jake McCabe. I just think they're missing that like stud guy who it leads that whole core, and it's supposed to be Morgan Rielly, and it's just not anymore. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what you do with him. Clearly, they're just decreasing his ice time. They're always giving him the kind of like spare defenseman in the lineup, like he's playing with Phil Myers right now. Clearly, just he's fallen down the priority list, and he's just I don't know. He's just not. I don't know if like he just looks a little washed. Like I don't know. He just looks like he's getting a little bit older. He's 30. He's moving in the next part of his life, and I don't know. He's just not the Morgan Rielly of old. There's just no way he's 100% healthy and playing like this. There's just no way. Like I'm bought in on the. He's not healthy. Yeah, like last night, he was their fourth defenseman. I thought Oliver Ekman-Larsson was their best defenseman last night. And Tanev and McCabe got a ton of ice time, and he was down there. He was their fourth defenseman last night.
Yep. All right, I would be remiss if we didn't get out of here and just touch quickly on the power play. It still remains pretty mid. 16th in the league.
There's no one quarterbacking the power play. I don't know who.
Yes.
For so many, like for Mitch Marner, he's having an incredible season. He can make these unbelievable passes. Like he's on pace. He's going to break his 100 points if he stays healthy. And you would think it would make sense if he was a guy who could quarterback, but in the 5 forward formation, he's the guy at the top, and he's not dangerous at all because you know the best thing he has in his arsenal is a weak slap pass along the ice. And it's just, I think, and I look at a guy like Lane Hudson, it's like, this is the guy I wish they had quarterbacking their power play. This is the exact player they need. I would trade one of the guys from the core four to get a defenseman who had like the ability and the skill that they all do, but just from the blue line. Like I wish they had a guy like that because I think it would really change the dynamic of the way that unit works and the way the whole team plays. So they have so many guys who can score and so many guys who are game breakers, but for some reason they just have no rhythm on that first unit. And it's just, I don't know what to do at this point.
Well, I mean, for me, I agree. There's definitely a personnel issue in terms of they don't have someone who's properly quarterbacking the power play. But if you just watch it night in and night out, they have success when they throw pucks on net and are more willing to score a greasy goal, and then have less success when they are not willing to do that. So if they decide one night, hey, this is what we're going to do, the power play looks better, and then the next night they say, we're not going to do it, and it looks like shit. So it really depends on the mindset these guys have.
Well, there were two power play goals last night, and they were both from the second unit. Like,
yes, exactly. And they're not worried about, as you say, slap passes.
And it was Oliver Ekman-Larsson just taking a good seeing eye wrist shot that found the net, and then another one where Oliver Ekman-Larsson found Nick Robertson in a space, and he was able to do something with it. So, yeah, like I think they need to play that second unit more. I know we've harped on this a million times, but it is. I understand that they're your top players and they give you the best chance, but like we've seen enough now where it's let's give them a shot in the arm. Like especially last night, like 2 power play goals from the second unit. That's enough. You can look at your star players in the face and go, okay, we're going with these guys the first time out the next time because of what they did last game. That I don't understand what's wrong with that. I think they should go ahead and do that.
All right, buddy, we're going to get out of here. We will be back a week today, Sunday morning. The Leafs, another busy week. They got the Tampa Bay Lightning on Monday night. Prime Hockey. Love a good Amazon Prime Hockey broadcast. The Columbus Blue Jackets, who are also playing well, Wednesday at home. And then in Ottawa next Saturday. And we know that Senators matchup is always a tough matchup for them. So we will be back Sunday morning to discuss that and review the week that was. Also, we are just a few short weeks out from the Four Nations face-off. Ryan and I will be doing post-game shows after every Team Canada game of the Four Nations face-off. So if you'd like to join us for that, hit that like and subscribe button below. Also do the same if you're listening to the audio version.
Spread the word. Tell your friends.
We really appreciate it. We will see you guys next Sunday.